or whatever. And the rival gang did not like that song because that was their anthem. So they didn't want Heavy D to do that song. This is the story I heard. I was not there. But because of that, the beef had happened, and Alvin stepped up and diffused the beef with the crew. And Puff was there, and Puff said, "Yo, good looking for that. You know, I'm doing this new thing, and if I'm leaving Uptown, and if you got something for me, bring it." And that was Craig. So that was kind of, that whole situation is kind of like the birth of Bad Boy. If somebody has another story, because that's the story that I heard from a few horses' mouths. So if it switches, I don't know, but it's a beautiful story to me, honestly. So.
What do you remember about Craig Mack making his debut album and getting signed to Bad Boy?
Well, like I said, the relationship now with Alvin and Puff, basically Alvin took Craig up to Puff, and he rapped for him, and he was like, okay. So, and I know why Puff loved it, because Puff had loved the style of a rap artist named Jesse West. And Craig kind of had that laid back-ish, but then aggressive kind of style. And just from him rhyming on the side of a building, he said, "I want to sign you." So, and then after that, it all started. We were going, me, Alvin Toney, Gene Nelson, and Craig were going to Puff's house in Scarsdale, New York, to map out what was, or what is now, Bad Boy. So it's pretty dope.
You worked with a whole lot of artists. We're going to get into the history of DJ 4our5ive and your relationship with these artists. I'm going to mention some names, and you can tell me what part you played in their career. Biggie Smalls.
Listen. Okay, so Big. People who know Big know his heart, how funny he was, how dope he was, and how loyal he was. So I'll tell you a story. I was working with Craig, and a lot of stuff was going in the wrong direction. So this is when it started kind of falling apart with the Craig situation. And a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people blame Puff for a lot of stuff, but Craig kind of didn't want certain things, and he was like going against the grain with a lot of stuff. Craig got off of Bad Boy. It wasn't Puff who dumped him and got him out of there, or dropped him, but a lot of people put all of that on Puff. But Puff, that it didn't happen like that. So I say this to say, even Big, and this is what I'm talking about, his heart, saw what was happening. And I remember one time in LA, where we were going to do a show, and I would always go to Big's room, and this is vinyl. So Big would be sitting in the chair, and I go in, and I have my crate, and I just have the records. I'll be thumbing through them, and I put a pillow on the floor, and he'd be like, "All right, so we're going to start off with that Warner." And I grab Warner, and I drop it down on the pillow, and then we're going to hit the, so he would go through the songs, and I would just drop them all on the pillow and then turn them up. And so this is the show. No Serato, no computer. So when one of those times, Big was like, "Listen, Duke is messing up. Duke wilding right now. So I just want you to know, you could be just my DJ. We can make that move right now." And I was like, I am not going to leave my boy out there like that. It's just, it is what it is. We got to see what's happening. So Biggie, reached his hand out for me, and that's not how I get down. So I chose to not. And then it was kind of like, as things went bad, now I'm home, and I'm just like, oh, wow, it's over, So, but what's dope about it is that, you got to understand, we did the Big Mac tour together. I chose to do that tour, and this is something that people need to know. I chose to do that tour for no money. It was a promo tour. I chose to DJ for both artists for no money, to do the grind. And that's really the reason why I got in the position that I was in. So I say this to say, sometimes, you got to really focus. You got to know what you want. I mean, I had money to be able to survive. I've always had something for me to be good. So it wasn't like, man, I don't know how I'm going to eat tomorrow. I was always good. So I say this to say, I was home now, and like I said, I'll say this, that 17 dates or whatever it was that we did on that promo tour, we got close. Big, C's, Mafia, everybody, we got close. And we laughed. All we did was laugh. It was so much fun. You don't even understand. So after that was all over and I'm not seeing my boys, it was like, wow, these cats is still out there. Biggie's blowing up right now, And Big ended up reaching out to me. So there was a show that Biggie did that I wasn't there for this. It was a show, we were doing shows separate. So I wasn't always Biggie's DJ. I was Biggie's DJ for times when we were all together. But Biggie would have Clark Kent and Enough wasn't there yet in the times that I'm talking about. Clark Kent, he wanted his boy, oh my God, why can't I think of his name right now? I'll think of it, 50 grand. Okay. But he said 50 grand, he was like, nah, we're going, and then Big Cap ended up, that show, I don't know if everybody had saw, rest in peace, but the show that Big Cap had kind of, yeah. That show, no, but listen, people, I'm in Big Cap's defense, you can't have black records, okay? Even the clear joints right here won't work in the sun. The black ones will melt instantly. They turn into water. That's what happened. That's it. So, listen, I'm a tour DJ. I am no club DJ. And I can DJ a club. I've done after parties again and again. But it's just not my thing. My thing is big production, big arenas. That's what I love. That's what I love. Amphitheaters. That's what I love. So I know the rules in the sun. I know, hey, wait a minute. Somebody's going to have to give me this or this or this. And Cap didn't know. You can't do that. You can't do that in the sun like that. So his records were melting. That's what happened. Cap didn't suck. He was dope to death. But it was a situation that he couldn't do nothing about. So, but I say this to say, when I was home, I get a call, and it's Biggie, because Biggie had did a show in Virginia. In Virginia that day, it was a college, I believe. He was drinking, and he had a not loaded pistol or gun, or I don't know exactly what it was. Like I said, I wasn't there, but these are all stories I get from my peoples who were there. You know what I'm saying? C's and all them. C's, shout out to C's. So I say this to say, he pulled out a gun on Give Me the Loot, and the crowd went crazy, and everybody stomped each other out and ran trying to get away. That's what happened. So he was banned from Virginia. So he couldn't do shows in Virginia. The mayor, somebody from the mayor's office was there. So now Biggie Smalls cannot do a show in Virginia anymore. But then they got a new mayor. So when they got a new mayor, he called me and said, yo, we back, baby. And I'm like, Big? He's like, yeah, we back in VA. What's up? So I was like, okay. So he's like, yeah. I said, you want me to spin? He was like, nah, I got Enough. So now Enough was spinning for Biggie. But I want you to come to VA just to celebrate with us. So I got a flight and a hotel for you. I was like, okay. So I hopped on the flight, and we had a party, and I met Mace that day. And then I started DJing for Mace after that. So I was back on.
Keep going. Keep going. Stories about stories. So tell me about that situation.
Segue. So, well, Mace, I worked with Mace kind of short. We did, I don't even know if I worked with Mace until the album, because I worked with Mace, and then I went right to Entertainment with Charlie Baltimore and Cameron. So Mace was fun. Mace, he didn't care about nothing. Like some of the stuff, like, because he's a minister now, I'm not even going there. Seriously. He was a wild boy. That's all I can say. He was having fun. He was young. He did not care. Mace was wild. He was dope, though. He'd get out there. He'd do his thing. And like I said, then I ended up working with Entertainment, and then Charlie Baltimore and Cameron. After that, remember I said I was missing somebody? I don't know if I said Cameron. I had worked with Cam for a little bit. And then I was working with Little Kim and C's. I did a tour with C's, with the Wonderful World of C's Leo album, and we toured. That was so much fun. And then after that, then I ended up working with Kim, and then Fabulous, and then you know, it just is so, but I'm talking years. I worked with Fab for 9 years. I worked with Lil Wayne for 8 years. Like all of these, yeah, the stretch was crazy, like on a lot of the artists that I worked with. So it's pretty crazy.
You also work with Jay-Z, right?
Yeah, well, I would my Jay story is so bananas.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so
We're here for the story, so let us.
yo, all right, so Tony Dofat had hit me up. Shout out to Tony Dofat, and he was like, "Yo, I got somebody who we need you for a project. Can you get to the city in 2 hours?" So I said, "Yeah, I think I could do that. Who we rocking with?" And he's like, "So Tony Dofat worked for Bad Boy." So I didn't know who this artist was, and I'm just like, all right, I guess it's a big deal. Tony Dofat hit me. So I get in the truck. So I drive out. So now I get in the elevator and I already hear the rumble. So now I start hearing the beats, and now I'm nodding. So now doors open, I'm hearing it louder, and I walk down the hall. I can't even remember what studio it was. Wow. And I open the door.
Can I interrupt you for a minute? Can you give us a year?
Go ahead.
What year is this?
Oh my God. Yo, hold on. I can give you a year. 1 second. Yo, Google is my friend. So it was the American Gangster album.
Okay.
So whatever year that was. It's not Gangsta, it's Gangster. 2007.
Okay.
So 2007. So that soundtrack, Puff produced. So I found this out later too, why I was like, oh, that's why Tony Dofat hit me. So Puff produced that album. So I walk in the doors and I see a band, a few people sitting around, a DJ, and Jay rhyming. And I'm like, what song is this? I don't know. I'm like, what record is this? I never heard this record before in my life. So I'm like, okay. So I sit down. So this is how I am. So if I'm going to be on a project, I'm going to, at the time, get in my BlackBerry, go in my notes, and be like, the song that they keep saying this, you know, so I'll make it a hook. I said I would use this on the scratch on the hook. And this, I would use this. So I had my list of songs with names I made up. Some of them were right, too, of what I would do to these songs. So after maybe song number 3, so I met Jay with Puff once at a show. And he just, you know, was like, yo, 4our5ive, come here. Yo, this is Jay-Z. And I was like, yo, good to meet you. So it was like not my first time ever seeing Jay and talking to Jay. But, you know, that one time I met him, that's it. So he, as the beats are still playing. So remember, I don't know if I said, there was a young dude who I'll never forget. It's vivid inside of here. He had on the white tee a little bigger inside, and then the blue tee tighter over it, so that then you get the white trim. And he had a hat backwards, and he was going and went and went and went and went and went and went. He was like not really cutting. So I guess I don't know where they got him from. I don't know who he was. No disrespect to you, sir. I just, you know, he wasn't cutting it, and everybody knew it. So Jay, as they're like finishing a song and the song is still playing, Jay walks over to me and I'm sitting. So he sits next to me and he said, so basically what I want from you is like, see, this is a band. So I need to keep that same, like the hip hop. We can't lose that hip hop. And that's where the cuts come in. And I was like, oh, I got a plan. I got you. So he's like, okay. So just from that conversation, they were like, all right, bring him in for costuming. And I'm whisked off into a room and they measured me for a suit. And they were like, all right, can you be at the Brooklyn Navy Yard at 6:45 in the morning or whatever time it was? And I was like, yeah,